Hi guys, I'm not a big fan of the next phrase, but I believe Laura Kuenssberg could be right. So she was interpreting something a senior member of the Labour Party did a few days ago as a sign of worry over the current poll lead. Now, we've seen consistent polling for Labour over the Tories for months now, and while the difference normally narrows between the two parties weeks out from a general election, this isn't the case this time. So there are two ways of looking at this. Laura is shilling for the Tories as usual, or there's a real fear within Labour that a massive majority in the polls could convince some people not to bother to turn up or to vote with their heart. Have a listen to this.
What's made its way into my hands is the memo that Pat McFadden, who was the Labour campaign chief, sent out to all of Labour's candidates yesterday. And it's really interesting because we're going to see Labour shifting its message a bit. McFadden is essentially instructing his candidates to tell their voters, so listeners, this may be what somebody says to you when they come and knock on the door, say, do not assume anything about the result. Do not vote for a minor party which only helped the Tories. The only way to stop the Tories is to vote Labour. Now, I think that there is part of this is a sort of just a campaigning tactic, right? You always have a get out the vote operation. But I think there is a genuine nervousness about the impact of poll after poll after poll after poll, suggesting that there are these sort of crazily wild, enormous majorities for the Labour Party. And there's a bit of superstition in there, but there's also the reality that Labour doesn't really think these numbers stack up.
She says two things which I think Radio 4 listeners will chime with. One, there are a lot of undecided voters, and that is completely underreported. But the thing is that the polls are getting all the coverage, and undecided voters are not. And Pat McFadden is trying to get the message out. Don't take these people for granted.
And he uses a figure of up to a quarter of voters.
Now, where I disagree with Pat McFadden in this clip is, well, a vote for Labour is not necessarily a vote to keep the Tories out. Of course, he will sell it like that, but there are many constituencies, of course, where the Labour candidate should step aside to help the Liberal Democrat keep the Tory out, or someone else to keep the Tory out. So, okay, but that's what Labour will say to their candidates anyway. Now, there are a number of problems here for Labour. People may fail to turn up, thinking it's a foregone conclusion. They may say to themselves, well, look, what's the point in me voting? Look at the polls. Labour are going to win a massive majority. If they don't need my vote. And Labour, of course, need to convince these people, no, you actually have to come out and vote. Because if you don't, there's a risk that the Conservatives will still get in. Some people may believe that it'd be better for them to vote for another party because they still think that Labour are going to win a massive majority. So what's the point in voting for Labour? I'm free now to vote for the Greens, Independents, or someone else. And of course, Labour want to avoid that problem as well, because this could be the difference between Labour winning a small majority and a massive majority, because there are a number of marginal seats. And if people decide to sit this one out, because, well, it's going to be won by Labour anyway, or if they decide to vote for other parties, smaller parties, this could result in the not enough votes going towards Labour, or the left-wing vote being split, and somebody else getting in. The Tory holding on to the seat. So the polling at the moment indicates a massive majority, indicates, over 100-seat majority. But that could change if people decide to stay at home or if people decide to vote for other parties. Now, it's up to people how they decide. Labour have to win these people over. It's not a foregone conclusion, and it's not a case of, look, people will just have to vote for Labour. Labour have to present a reason for people to vote for them. Many people will vote to keep the Tories out, to give them a bloody nose. But others will say, look, you have to offer me something. And it's up to Labour to do that. But they're right here where they say that, there is a real concern that people will say, yes, I'll go and vote to the pollster. But when the day comes, they'll say, well, I might as well just sit at home because it's a foregone conclusion. And that's a real risk. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.